Yo, 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 welcome to another episode of Liberalish Podcast. This is episode 33, and we have a special guest. You got it. You guessed it. It's one of our original hosts, Carlye. She's finally back from her hiatus.
Uh,
No, she didn't leave the pod. I was worried, but no, she didn't leave the
uh,
pod. She's here. She's back. Welcome, Carlye.
Hi. I'm so excited to be back. I really am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bro. You came back so I don't have to carry the pot anymore.
Right on your back
I
don't
like-
hurt no more.
Yeah, my back don't hurt no more.
Ryan was pulling like a Paul George while you were gone, and like
Oh.
you're a quiet liner, basically.
Appreciate that.
So shout out to Ryan, and obviously Marcus. He's on vacation. He's our fearless CEO now. So
Mhm.
shout out to him.
Takes vacation whenever he wants now.
Exactly. He's
On
like,
what
I
you
don't,
expect now.
he's like, I don't answer to you people anymore. And it's like, all right, you're right. All right. So we skipped a week. We missed last week. The reason for that is because I was in Miami for Chairman's Dwell's birthday. Shout out to the Gemini season.
The supreme leader.
This is Supreme Leader. So yeah, Miami was fun. But speaking of Miami, thoughts and prayers out to the victims of the collapsed building just
Mhm.
north of Miami Beach.
Yeah.
Very, very, very tragic scenario.
Yeah.
So
And it makes you wonder like what really be going on in when those apartment high rises are being built, because they
Mhm.
look
Yeah.
sturdy, but like damn, like
It's actually funny because like I have a fear of like bridges for that very reason. Like I get like anxiety whenever I have to go across a bridge. It's just really sad because I think about like even I read some like recently, like they're still recovering people. Like it's the number
Mhm.
changes. And I just
Yeah.
feel like, it's sad because those are like somebody's family, that's someone's like friend, someone's sister, someone's whatever. Like I think about these things and it's like really unfortunate because it's like it seems like a freak thing, like something that doesn't like
Happen
it
all
doesn't
the-
happen
Mhm.
like often.
Right.
So it's really more like not that it's not tragic, but it's like super tragic because it's like this is such a random
occurrence.
occurrence. Yeah.
yeah, and then like someone who goes to Miami a lot, like all of Miami is just like those high-rise buildings. So
Yeah.
if you have these Airbnbs, you're probably gonna be one of those high-rise buildings, or like some of those hotels are similar to that style. So
Hmm.
it just really hit home, man. Just in Miami, and that happened. So, you know, and it sucked that it happened in the middle of the night too. I think it was like 3, 4 a.m. So everyone was like sleeping in their bed.
Damn.
Yeah, just a tragic story, man. I think
Yeah.
150 people are unaccounted for. So,
And like it comes to a point like they're under a rubble for that long. It's like, oh my gosh, now it's like they died because
Yeah.
you're not doing a search and rescue anymore because
right. Right. Yeah. And there was a fire that broke out too when they were trying to like do the rescue. So they had to deal with putting out the fire, but they couldn't use water because if they use water, the people that are in the
everything make it
rubble,
bigger. Yep.
they can drown. So yeah, no, this sucks, man. I've read a lot of stories though. Like this lady and her dog managed to crawl out to safety. This little boy cried for help when this guy was walking his dog when the building collapsed. So
Mhm.
like that guy kind of pulled him out. So there's been some like happy ending stories, but there's been like a lot more sad stories.
Yeah.
I can imagine, man. Like, what do you say to a family member, man? Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. And like with all that rubble and stuff, like it's just gonna take a while to go through it
Yeah.
all too.
Long
So
time.
this is a terrible, scary way to go. Next to thoughts and prayers to the victims, to the families. It's a really tragic story.
Right. Yeah, it is.
R.I.P. man.
RIP. So we missed a week. So we wanted to cover some of the top stories that we missed last week. So Biden did his first world tour. He was in Geneva. He's meeting with Putin. So both sides said they had a good meeting. Putin was really grilled, actually, by a reporter on his human rights violations. And he pretty much did like a whataboutism, saying that the United States has like Black Lives Matter protests and how the US kind of treated a Black Lives Matter protests. Biden called it a poor comparison. That's what I said, but
Hey man, Trump clear up the thing in DC so fast to go take a photo op. It was like we lived in Turkey for a second.
You know what's so funny? It's like I feel like Americans or like America, we think because like we have so much like rights that we're so much better than like other countries, like third world countries and stuff, or just
Mhm.
even countries across the water. But it's like when you really take a look at what a human rights violation is, America commits human rights violations all the time.
All the time.
every
Yeah.
day.
But because women can drive and own a home and you can bear like you can have your own gun and you have there's a lot of other freedoms. We like to think that we toot a nose. So that's why I giggle because I'm like it's really not a far off comparison. Like
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think like at the federal level, like, sure, like, this is kind of a bad comparison, but at the state and local level,
no, it's not.
uh, some of these cities and some of these states do be kind of wild.
Yeah.
So, um,
Bro,
Like look at
every city's police department in America is basically built
right.
like a military.
And even the way like
yeah.
and even like I mean like I think for a lot of people think because in other countries like there's like starvation, there's like wars and like government like takeovers and stuff that it's just chaos all the time. Bro, it's chaos here all the time. There's literally chaos here all the fucking time.
All the
And
time.
it's
Yeah.
reoccurring and it's the same things like over and over and over again. Like so I think we like kind of I think that was kind of like one of those things where you have to that probably wasn't the best response because it actually I think he actually got him there.
Yeah. I think that with Biden as
But it
president,
also is horrible to live in Russia, man.
it is
Yeah.
bad to
At
live in
least,
Russia.
at
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
least,
no, no.
at
We're not
least,
saying that,
I
but
mean, one, it's always cold there. You know what I mean? Like you're stuck in the cold.
the guy that was about to run against Putin, he's in jail
Right.
now because
Mhm.
on starving. He did a hunger strike and
He,
everything.
he did a hunger strike. Yeah. And
Yep.
like you gotta think about it. Like for us, like the 80s, like that's kind of like an annoying era for us. For them, that's like their glory years.
yeah.
So they have to think about that. Um, what
Russia
else?
is still trying to portray itself as a superpower, man, but their economy is the size of Texas,
Size
so
of
they
Texas,
didn't really
yeah.
talk to us, bro.
That's the thing. They just have nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is. They have like one
But you have
aircraft
those.
carrier.
If all of that, we should be scared of Pakistan.
We are
Everybody
scared of
got new.
Pakistan. We just don't talk about it, but we are like really scared of
We
Pakistan.
we violated them boys' sovereignty and sent them Navy SEALs in there to go kill Osama bin Laden. We don't even let them know.
Right.
They found out just the same time everybody else found out.
I know.
Right. They're like on Twitter. It's like, oh shit, like
Oh shit!
stealth
That's like when
helicopters? Where was
NBA
this
play.
at?
That's like when NBA players tell say, "Oh, I didn't know got traded until I checked my phone."
Check my phone.
Right. That's kind of like being in Trump White House and like, wait, I got fired today. All right. Here's something that was kind of funny that happened last week that I think Ryan kind of brought up in our group chat. So as you all know, like the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, um, they're going through some tough times. They're kind of blamed for the January 6th riots. People realize they're racist. Surprise, surprise. So they're kind of struggling for cash. So the founder, or I'm sorry, one of the far right leaders of either the Proud Boys or the Oath Keepers is printing Black Lives Matters T-shirts for money.
Hmm.
The irony. So
Hmm.
shout out to him. Um, all right. What happened last week? Texas experienced another energy crisis due to the extreme heat in the area. So one of the Texas energy companies was telling residents, do not reduce your AC below 78 degrees.
What?
Yes, in the heat. Yeah.
And this
Yeah.
was okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, yeah, yeah. So
the Texans are having it hard. Like I really do feel bad for the Texans. Like
yeah,
to live in Texas prior to all the like even the weather crisis they had months ago
right.
was like actually cool. Like I feel like people are good in Texas, but also like Texas is really humid. It's like really humid, so that's outrageous to me because like even here in New Jersey, like I like if I turn my air on, like I'll probably put it on like at the highest 70, the lowest probably like 68. So I feel like 75 is hot. Plus,
Wait,
it's already hot from outside.
You put your air all the way down to 70?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's mad cold.
Where do you put your heat at?
It's safe.
We just get, because it gets like, all right, so I live in Florida. It gets really expensive when you roll that down because it's so hot and humid, like the AC is just going to be working continuously. So we have ours set to like 75, 74. That's like the lowest it's going to go.
No way.
Yes, it'd be hot, but that's the lowest it's going to go. Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's not like you're wasting heat, right? Wasting money right
might
there.
Might as well just take the heat.
No,
that's coming from outside.
It'd be so hot. Like it'll easily go to like up to like 80 something degrees in your home if you don't have the AC going on.
See, I put mine on auto so that when the temperature drops to the temperature I have it set, it turns off. And then when it rises again, like whatever.
Right.
I'm turning it on and off. Like I just feel like it's a comfortability thing. Like it's hot as hell outside. You're supposed to come in the house and feel like, whew, like, it's hot as fuck out there. And I ain't got those problems in my house. You walk in your house from...
That's a sanctuary.
You walk in your house from being outside in like 90-degree weather just to walk into your house and it's 75 degrees. What's the, considering your body temperature, what's the difference? It's not like you're getting colder because it's like...
It'd be that hot. It really does be that hot.
That's
you do feel the difference. It'd be that hot.
Does it be like a crazy difference?
Yes, because like the average like high is going to be like to mid to upper 90s like every day. And so like when you walk into a building that's like 75, you're like, oh, this is actually pretty nice. So like it's really that hot and humid in Florida.
See, but I'm different because like I hate being hot. I am not a heat kind of person. Like being hot just pisses me off. So I don't mind being cold. I actually love to be cold because I just put a blanket on.
My favorite season is winter.
Yeah, fall and winter are mine. Like I love the cold. So
I'm at my first real winter was in 2012, bro. So I've been in hot temperature. You can have Florida.
And I really sympathize with people who live in Texas because I don't know. I don't know what I would do if someone sent me a letter like that or told me to put my air on 75.
Like, yo, bro, what? That's like waste of electricity.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You might as well just get a fan running.
At that point, you just basically paying for white noise because that's what AC is providing here.
Oh my God. I shouldn't have disclosed that information with you people, man.
Damn, bro. I want better from you, bro. I want better from you in your state, bro.
I mean, it just be that hot, man. You can't have it set that low, or else you're gonna have a high electric bill.
I blame Ted. This somehow is Ted Cruz's fault. I don't know how. I don't know why, but I'm gonna blame it on him.
I agree. I don't know how or why either.
I agree that we put all the blame on Ted.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. We'll put all the blame on Ted Cruz. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that.
Ted Cruz probably missed one of his prayers. That's why God called Texas.
That's probably what it was.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to international news. So I don't know if you guys have been following this story, but Ethiopia has been going through some shit. They're basically going through like a genocide right now. Yes. So basically what's been going on is that the current prime minister, how do I say this? The ethnic group that put the prime minister in place, they decided to like relinquish power because people were hating on them. And so because of that, the prime minister has essentially turned on them and has pretty much ordered his military to invade their area. I think it's called Tigray, and closed off any sources of food to get in there. So there's a famine going on. Soldiers have been like raping and killing women. And there's been a massive humanitarian crisis. Because it's Africa, we don't really hear about it that much.
That's like the Utsi and Tutsi, the Rwandan genocide.
Right.
We heard about it until he got weird apart. I listen Morning Joe every morning, and I've not heard them once mention anything like this.
Yep. Yeah, it's like probably like the biggest
In
One of the
20,
biggest
like in
humanitarian crises out there.
like in 15 years, they'll make a small documentary, a small movie about it, and that's gonna be
Rwanda.
and then we'll find out about it. But
Yeah.
like you said, it's an African country. Like that whole continent as a whole is just completely disregarded when it comes to the shit that goes on there, which is really unfortunate because
Yep.
it's such a large continent. I don't understand why that like I'm sure as you know the information is available, but like as far as media coverage, I just don't understand. Like I understand why, obviously, but it's real fucked up how a lot of shit goes on in Africa, and if you're not in tuned and you don't do your own research, you would never know.
Yeah, like that's why it's like kind of tough for me because we were talking about Russia earlier and its human rights violations, and I don't want to compare the two, but it's like we've been doing the same song and dance with Russia for God knows how long,
Right.
and it's like we have this situation in Ethiopia, like shouldn't that also take at least from the media's perspective? I don't want to shit on the Biden administration. The Biden administration has actually sent people over to try to mitigate it, but
Right.
at least the media hasn't applied the pressure that we wanted to. The New York Times kind of reported on this. That's how I got the information. But like CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, they're not really like reporting on that, and not a lot of people really know about it. So it does kind of suck. What the Biden administration can definitely do is that Ethiopia is like one of the largest recipients of U.S. aid in the sub-Saharan African region. So I don't know if they have already, but they can definitely threaten to pull that aid
Right.
to at least get something started.
Honestly,
I don't know.
I just think it's really what boils down to is like and it's crazy to me because when it comes to other shit that goes on in other countries, America likes to involve themselves, or other countries like to involve themselves, or it's like, oh no, that's like crazy that this is happening and
Right.
da da da. But when it comes to Africa, like it's so fucked up because I just feel like Africa as a whole is exploited.
Oh yeah,
But
100%.
yeah, obviously they're exploited and disregarded. Like there's not people that live there. Like the lives of the people that live there, it just doesn't fucking matter. And I know that that's how the world is. I just know that's the world we live in. But it's just shitty. It's like so shitty because it's like we've been dealing with this for so fucking long. And I just really wish people cared more about that continent like they do every other fucking continent. But it's because there's Black people that live there. It's easier to just act like, oh, whatever, figure it out. No, we'll move on.
Yeah, also, we don't really talk about Africa already as is, So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like a very frustrating thing. Again, this is not to shit on the Biden administration. This is more me shitting on the media and its portrayal of like what's going on in Ethiopia because they can apply a lot of pressure,
A lot of pressure, man.
They can apply a lot of pressure. So that's just what it is. So last bit here. So what happened last week? Georgia's governor Brian Kemp blocked Juneteenth from being a paid state holiday for Georgia employees. This is like a level of pettiness where it's just like you went to this extreme to just be this petty. And this is really funny. Like it's not funny, but it is funny.
It's
a thief.
But he's that like I'm not surprised. This is another situation where I'm disappointed but not surprised. Like
right, exactly.
Like I always said, I say this all the time. We go back to even the election. Like Georgia is really like just Alabama with Atlanta. Like with the exception of like Atlanta, like it's completely fucking outdated, racist, conservative. So it really isn't shocking. And Brian Kemp is a racist himself. So it's really not surprising that he would do something like this. But
super racist.
Of course, super racist. But here's my thing. At first, when all the states were making Juneteenth a holiday, like where people got off and it was paid or whatever. At first, I was like, okay, that's cool. But then I started to think like that should just be a thing. Like that should just be a federal thing. It shouldn't even be up for anybody to decide. Like it should just be, this is what we're gonna do. Like like the 4th of July. Like it. Because here's the thing. I see Juneteenth as like our Black Independence Day.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I feel like it should just be treated. It should just be treated like the 4th of July. But I also understand, like I just said about Africa, it's a holiday that celebrates Blackness. America and Georgia do not like Black people. So, it's like kind of on brand for Brian Kemp.
Right. Yeah. And it's also kind of on brand of like the Republican strategy. It's just been like to push back on like this growing wave of like blackness.
Right.
They really push back on like Black Lives Matter. We're talking about in pre-production, Caitlyn Jenner, who we're going to endorse for governor of California. I'm joking. It's a joking. She wants to ban critical race theory
Oh my
if
God.
she's elected governor. So let me ask you guys this. This is a question to the podcast. Why do you guys think white people are so scared of their kids from learning about critical race theory?
I say this all the time. White people are scared that white people don't want the truth because it would force them to accept that their privilege that they've been afforded in this country is fake. It's made up and it's mythical. Like there's nothing biologically that makes white people better than black people. The simple fact of the matter is there's been scientifically proven that there is no genetic difference between black and white people. Like if you study the DNA of a Scandinavian, an Ethiopian, a Mexican or whatever, you wouldn't know the difference. So when you teach children, because hate is taught, and people who are hateful and racist don't want their children to learn something that combats what method in which they're teaching their children how to grow up and how to treat people. Because all this teaching, all critical race theory is teaching about racism in America and where it came from, how it affects people. And I think it's important, but I also think it's more important that black people do that in their own homes because we have to stop expecting the masses to give a fuck about our livelihood, our children, our existence, because they don't. They reject it every time they can. They act like we're less than people. Yes.
Self-learning.
Yes. But also at the same time, it's like the same way that we can learn about the Mali picture and the lady that sold the American flag or sang the Star Spangled Banner, or we hear about Ulysses S. Grant or George Washington, and
shout out to my son Ulysses.
people in American history who have contributed to American history, not taking away from what they've done. I mean, except George Washington, because he had slaves, but whatever. But we are a part of American history too. Like black history is American history. So it's really not even about teaching. Like I think they see it as like we're teaching like
a separate history.
Yeah, like it's not. It meshes together. Like the shit that we had to go through is a part of American history. Like, and I don't understand. I understand why white people don't want it, because I mean, the white people that are fighting against it are racist. They're privileged. They want to hold on to that privilege. And so, it would kind of pull the carpet out from underneath them. Like, what do you mean there's no reason why I'm better? Because the only reason why white people are deemed better in this country is because they've always just came over here and just did what the fuck they wanted to do with no regards to like other lives and other people, like the Native Americans, slaves. And that's it. It's not because you're better. It's not because you've done more. It's not because you're, so great. It's just because white people in history are big bullies.
Yeah, no, it's very true. I saw this one meme that kind of really described what critical race theory was, like really easily. So on one end, it had like this white soldier coming home, and it's like after World War II, soldiers got the GI Bill. And then like they used that to get like house loans and buy homes.
But black soldiers didn't.
Right. And on top of that, it's like, this is what you were taught in schools. And then to the right, it showed a black soldier, and it's like they were denied a GI Bill, they were denied loans, and they couldn't really afford it.
And I think about it this way. It's like, I think it's important to teach children about race because race exists. It's like, it's okay to acknowledge that we're different. We look different. We have different cultures. We have different backgrounds. We come from different places. Not all white people are the same. Not all black people are the same. I just think I just think it's important to teach children as they grow up that this is the world that you're growing up in. So to prepare them for what they're going to see, I think it's almost doing them a disservice by pretending like there's no social difference between.
They're acting like you're telling their kids that Santa Claus is real.
Yeah, and it's like this is just, it's like no different than teaching children about like what's going on in the world. Like this is a self-awareness. Like as a Black child, you will be treated differently, no matter how great you are, no matter what you do, because society deems you less worthy of what your white counterparts are. Mm-hmm. Instead of you being shocked when you grow older because you don't understand how that could be, preparing children for the world that they are going to grow up in, I think is just a part of development. The same way you teach them how to read and walk and talk, it's just making them self-aware of what they're growing up in.
Preparing them for something, the inevitable, what they're gonna experience and stuff, and you give them the full story. Like history isn't supposed to be altered by opinions, but
right, it's facts. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I also just kind of want to say this, that no one's had this conversation, but after World War II, when we kind of controlled Germany, we made sure the Germans knew what they did during World War II, so they wouldn't repeat it again. But no one's had that conversation.
And I also think it's also funny too, because even growing up, I grew up in like a pretty diverse situation. Like I was obviously aware that like I look different than my like classmates and stuff, but I really didn't have the full scope of like what racism in America looked like, because I had never dealt with it firsthand.
Like
I had never dealt. So when I got older and I realized like, yo, this country's really fucking racist. It threw me off, because you get the cookie cutter version of history, like slaves, like it's like, oh, we took some people from Africa to come over here and work, and and we weren't so nice to them, and we, called them names, but that's not like, if I knew the nitty gritty.
That's not what America is.
Yeah, but we moved past that. That's in the past. We
treat them good.
We let them go. We've given them the opportunity to go to school and have homes and have children. We're past that, and that's just not the truth. Like a lot of the stuff that Black people in this country go through is a direct link from slavery. It's a direct result from slavery. So I just think it's important that you just teach the whole truth, because that's the truth. That's what happened in this country. It's not a white or Black thing. It's just, this happened X amount of years ago, and as a result, this is why this is the way that it is.
Yep. And when you actually start doing a little bit of digging, it gets really depressing. It's part of the reason why we don't have like Medicare for all or like a universal health insurance system. Part of it's racism.
Yeah.
Part of it why our cities, like public transportation systems, kind of suck.
Yep.
Partly due to racism.
Yeah.
So once you start doing some digging, it gets some really depressing stuff. So all right. So that's the case. Care of
need
that.
A cheerful song to play after we go into those deep topics.
All right.
We got to steal outstanding from Joe Budden, bro.
We're gonna steal. Oh man, is that podcast still around?
Oh man, they doing bad over there, man.
They're doing bad. Oh man.
The six sank.
Jesus. All right. Shout out to Joe, man. All right.
A man that can make himself so powerful and tear himself down several times, man.
Charlemagne the God called that though. Charlemagne the God told him to his face, like, you self-destruct. You destroy everything that you build up, and he spot on. All right. Here's a little bit of like happy-ish news. Rudy Giuliani, America's mayor, New York City's fifth mayor, he is now banned for practicing law.
Wow.
So shout out to Rudy Giuliani.
I'm gonna say this as someone who's aspiring to be an attorney. It's really crazy to me how someone fucks up so bad that something you worked so long, like something you've done for so long, at 80 something is taken away from you. Like you had to really fuck up.
This man
fuck up bad. Like what the fuck? What happened?
This man used to be like the U.S. district.
Bro, I'm telling you, like this blind loyalty to Donald Trump is really fucking a lot of people up. Like he's good somewhere, like he's chilling, like just living life, doing what he wants to do, and everyone else is just like crashing and burning. It's really unfortunate.
Man.
Speaking of which, the Manhattan District Attorney announced that Donald Trump would not be prosecuted.
Of course.
His family might, but we will see. I personally doubt it, but I've been wrong a lot this year.
You're not gonna indict a former sitting president and his family, bro.
They're not gonna do that.
And it's also like
that probably would kick off civil war in America, bro.
It's like I'm still waiting to hear back on like Andrew Cuomo. I thought like the state was investigating Andrew Cuomo. That just like suddenly disappeared.
It's like smoke screens. It's just. They're just
Wait.
telling they're
All right,
telling the
you
people
go
what they
you
want to
gonna
hear.
investigate your boss, bro?
I'd investigate.
I mean,
You
if you want their
sound
job, right?
you sound like Marlon Rory right now.
The accounting.
that accountant, Joe.
Right. All right. So a little bit more international news. So U.S. intelligence is predicting that within 6 months, the Taliban will regain control of Afghanistan.
Oh my god.
So this one is particularly
Man, they
frustrating.
need to leave the Taliban alone. That's
They
where
do.
empires go to die, man.
They really
Leave
do.
Afghanistan. Man, nobody has ever gone to Afghanistan and corrected, bro.
Taliban's undefeated, man.
Bro,
They're undefeated, uh, which is insane. It's like really impressive, and you don't have like any modern technology or anything like that, but they're undefeated.
it's
So
because of the Mujahideen, man. They are mountain fighters. You mean they disappear. They just keep going back. And I think one thing modern military theorists hasn't come up with is it's easy to conquer a city in order to hold it, and that's what that happened in Iraq and those places because of the insurgents. Because you got to
right,
understand, like you got to prepare to hunker down and stay there. It's not a protracted war. It's something that you takes tens of probably 50 years to accomplish, bro.
right. And I think some of the issues too is like you can't look at a person and tell if they're in the Taliban or not.
Hmm?
Yeah.
So it's like, is this person really your ally or not? I think that was kind of an issue that
Yeah,
some of
and
the
there,
U.S. military was dealing
and
with as
then
well.
then you have the fact that the Taliban hasn't always been a terrorist organization. One of the was for the ruling party in Afghanistan as that's why the U.S. went to invade. Feel me? So
Right.
people see them as a legitimate type of government before. So
They
you
were. They were
so
for like before we showed up. They were the legitimate
mm-hmm,
government of Afghanistan
yep.
for the longest time. So, eh,
Just like me coming to the United States and telling everybody the United States government is terrorist. You're gonna any normal person gonna second guess that stupid shit.
right, right. What's particularly frustrating about this is that we spent, I don't know, like what, 20 years in Afghanistan, and we spent like billions, I think maybe trillions
Trillions.
of
Yep.
dollars for nothing. We have absolutely nothing to show for it. That money could have been spent here. We could have used it to like advance like our healthcare system. We could use it to advance our transportation system. We could use that money just on us, but nope, wasted it.
Imagine
Wasted it.
imagine going to launching war, right? For the Al Qaeda, in honesty, I never thought crossed the membership of like 1,000 members, bro. Like you invaded two countries, and you've been there for all that time for
Yep,
like 20,000 people. That tells you like, yo, the strategy ain't working, bro.
strategy's not working.
At what point do you call it quits, and go back to the drawing board?
Even Iraq, like if we won in Iraq is like a question mark because the Iraqi government doesn't fuck with us at all.
Yep.
They're more closely aligned with Iran than they are with the United States. So I,
Mm-hmm.
I think we should just mind our business, but oil is king and defense contractors are king. So
Yep.
not much we can do
Defense
there.
contractors must be able to make their bread. They made a whole
Right.
franchise of it. The Marvel Avengers is a whole franchise of the military
Yeah.
industrial complex.
Yep. Shout out to Iron Man.
Yep.
All right. So speaking of money, so Joe Biden may have gotten his first major win as president. He struck a bipartisan deal with a group of senators.
And then they nearly blew it last night.
He nearly stuck his foot in his mouth. But so a group of senators and Joe Biden reached a 1.2, I think it's trillion. I'm getting my numbers mixed up. $1.2 trillion bipartisan deal. They're currently writing out the details of it now. The bill won't include quotation marks human infrastructure, such as like childcare or tax credits for families. The highlights of it, it's going to have money for like electric buses, more greener electric grid, access to broadband, clean drinking water, charging stations, and then roads and bridges.
Woo!
Uh, we gotta get those roads and bridges. So
No, man, that's a lot of money pumping into the economy, man.
that, yeah, I mean, the Biden administration initial proposal was around $4 trillion.
Yeah, which was insane, but
So this
yeah,
is quite
I,
a
I don't,
negotiation.
I don't think so. I feel like they won. It's one of those things where you shoot for the stars and you land on the moon type of deal, man.
Right. Well, the idea behind this bipartisan deal was that Democrats were going to just pass this and then do a separate deal on the side for about 2 trillion, maybe $3 trillion
Yep.
with all the things that they wanted and using reconciliation to pass it through.
Mm.
The issue, though, is that Republicans are betting that Democrats don't have 50 votes to get that through.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a wait and see. I don't know. I know like the House members, they kind of want to see a little bit more money being spent. So this is kind of like a wait and see
Deficit,
right
man.
now. Oh, the deficit. Yeah, yeah.
The
If it's tax
almighty
cuts, we don't
deficit.
care about the deficit, huh? But
No, sir.
when it comes to investing in our country, we have to worry about deficits all of a sudden. This reappears. Which is funny how like the media keeps falling back into the same trick again, though. It's just like, I don't know, they keep falling back into the same old tricks again and again. All right, so shout out to Team Biden for getting that deal done. I know we all thought bipartisanship was dead. I did read somewhere that the group of senators that are working on the police reform bill, they struck a deal. So we'll see if that gets passed in the Senate.
Long shot.
It might be.
Anything for black people in this country is a long shot, man.
It might be because unlike the infrastructure bill, this had like 10 Republican senators agree to it, right? So you only need like one Republican. Not I'm doing my math, missing my math. We're good. All we needed was 10 Republicans. We got to 10, so this bill's gonna go through, right? With the police reform bill,
I had to shout out some of the politicians in Congress recently for stepping up and trying to ignore, because the for the country to operate, I'm gonna say you need a centrist. You need centrists to work together, and those people on the midline, shout out to them, man, because I know if it's a tightrope, if it's either they trying to draw you straight left or as far left as possible, and if you're on the right, like say a Mitt Romney, the goal is to turn you into a Ted Cruz. So shout out to the ones that could come together through all of this turmoil to let Congress actually work for the people.
Yeah, I don't mind bipartisanship. I just get a little bit concerned as to like what are we giving up for bipartisanship, right? So
it's like, but it's one thing. My thing against with for it is that if when they win back, because I don't think we have enough steam in this to win back anything.
I don't think we're winning 2022. I don't know if it's steam. I think it's because the states are passing a lot of voter restriction laws. I think that's probably going to be the reason why. But yeah, I don't think we're either going to lose the Senate or the House or both.
Mm-hmm.
One of those.
The House by like 10 votes, right?
Well, yeah, something like that. We only got like 4 seats in the House.
Yeah.
So it's a very tight margin in the House, and then we're just down to like 2 moderate Republicans who will vote Democrat in the Senate. So,
Susan Collins will think about it.
Well, yeah.
And do the right thing after.
Right. She'll think about it, wait till the last minute, and then go. All right. Let's talk about policing. So, in order to find like topics for the podcast, I have to go through like the New York Times.
We have like 5 more minutes. I'm letting you know.
All right. Thanks for the heads up. Let me just speed it up here. All right. In order to find topics, right, I had to go do a lot of research. And there's a lot of op-ed articles, and a lot of them have been like leaning on the conservative end almost all the way through, and like pretty much every major newspaper or website. And what their topic is basically they've been attacking Democrats on crime, saying Democrats can't run cities, and they've really been attacking the defund the police movement. And Republicans have been like taking up steam on this. They've been using this. They've been using this as a rally cry to say, look at the rising gun violence. They've used that to attack Biden and the Democrats. So let me ask you guys this. Do you guys believe the attacks on defund the police really worked?
No,
You don't think it has?
I don't like defund the police hasn't done anything against the movement. I just think people just be talking a lot about defund the police.
Yeah.
It's bad, blah blah blah, harsh language to sell to critics. But bro, like if you take a couple seconds and actually think about what they're talking about, it
No
would
one
make
does that
sense.
though.
But
No
you
one
know,
ever reads past the
Yeah.
headline. That's the
No.
thing. Like, obviously, when you look at defund the police, it makes sense because you want to fund other resources that can help lower crime. No one actually looks at it that way. Everyone just wants to throw money at the police departments, let them figure it out. So yeah, so there's that. All right. So since we got a little bit of time here, let's talk about George Floyd's killer. He got 22 and a half years in prison. Was justice served?
nope,
No,
nope,
because he's
nope.
still dead. Like, I don't like that word in this situation because there is no justice in this situation. It was just the criminal justice system actually did what it was supposed to do in this type of situation, and I think that's just accountability. Because if someone commits a crime and they're convicted of that crime and then thus sent to prison, that's what's supposed to happen in that type of situation. Because the only way true justice can be served is if he still had his life. I feel like there will never be anything that can happen that will make up for that. Like, him going to prison is not going to make up for George Floyd dying. No matter what the time is. Now, he needed to go to prison, but that does nothing for his family
again.
I'm sorry. My
You're
phone's
fine.
like going off. That does nothing for his family, his friends. That does nothing for him. Like, at the end of the day, a life was lost.
Let's be real. Derek Chauvin is coming home in like probably 10 years on good
Probably.
behavior.
Yeah.
Uh,
He's gonna write a
probably
book.
even less. Write a book. He'll be back.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Yes, he's in protective custody.
He'll do what he needs to do to stay afloat, because he's never going to be a police officer again, but he's going to sell his story. He's going to talk about it. He's going to do interviews. And I think that's the fucked up thing about it, is because he gets to live a life even after all this is over.
True.
George Floyd doesn't get to live his life. And for his daughter, her life is forever ruined, like forever changed, because someone took her father away from her.
Yeah, no, you guys all make excellent points. I'm going to be the devil's advocate here, or play the opposite end. I'm actually going to say justice was served, because historically, we've never really seen a cop. Well, we've seen a cop kill someone, but we've never really seen a cop actually go to jail for it and actually serve a long period of time. And I think the minimum in Minnesota was supposed to be like 15 years or something like that. And he got 22 and a half. So I think that's like a major win in this one isolated scenario. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I saw like Beyonce's mom had comments about like she doesn't believe justice was served because her nephew got caught with a small amount of weed and got pretty much the same amount of time as George Floyd's killer did. So I understand that. I hear that there's a lot of like progress needs to be made. But I think in this isolated scenario, I do think justice was actually served. All right. I know we're a little bit over. Let me ask one more question to the podcast. All right. So this is Black Excellence. So Tom Perez, former DNC chairman, he's going to run for governor of Maryland. Eric Adams, former cop during the stop and frisk era. It looks like he's on his way to becoming former captain of the NYPD during the stop and frisk era. It looks like he is going to be the next mayor in New York City. It looks like New York City is going through a round of like Black excellence. A lot of Black people running for office. A lot of Black people know that.
Is that Black excellence though?
So this is the question to the podcast. It seems like Black people, at least in New York City, only make it to the top when things are at the bottom. Do you guys You guys agree with that?
Mayor Dinkins
Right.
came when the city was burning, and Eric Adams is probably inheriting one of the worst situation ever.
Right. Coming out of
I don't think
COVID.
it's. I don't think it's black excellence. Like
You
I
don't think
don't
it's
know.
black?
Like I don't. Because here's my thing. Because it's kind of like Ryan is saying. I was just about to say that before you even said anything. It's like, why do we only get good shit if we're inheriting fucked up shit? Like,
man, look at
like,
what
because then what happens is we inherit the bad stuff, and then we take so long trying to clean up the mess that we get blamed for. They'll get blamed for the mess. Like, he's gonna inherit some bullshit.
Let's look
He's
at
gonna
Obama.
he's
Look
gonna
what Obama got.
exactly.
Right.
He's going to spend time trying to clean up the mess, and then people are gonna say, "Well, he's not doing shit for New York." And it's like, yeah, you think so, but it's like I have so much shit that I've inherited that I have to clean up before I can even do the things that I want to do. And that's. But then I guess then that's like you're further pushing them into like just being susceptible to like so much bullshit from like citizens and other people and criticism when you're just simply just trying to do your job. So it's like congratulations to them, but it just seems like a
I
real
think
bad
J. Cole.
situation.
I feel like J. Cole had a lyric to this on Eye for House when he said they gave the brother the key to the ship, but never told him that the ship was sinking. And I think that's what they always do to us, you know? Like,
Yeah. That's actually a really good analogy. I think in this analogy, yes, Eric Adams is going to take the reins of the city of rising gun crime and also coming off of COVID.
an
So,
economic crisis and a violence crisis.
right.
Everyone.
So let me guess. All right,
But he a Republican though, he be all right.
he is Republican. Do you think he's going to bring back stop and frisk?
Not to the nah, but he will give the NYPD a lot of reins,
He's
man.
going to give him a lot of rain, which really scares me because the NYPD already had a lot of rain.
They basically run this place. You did not know?
Yeah, they run the place. So I don't know, man.
Like living in New York sometimes can feel like you live in an occupied territory, man.
I don't know, man. I don't know. NYPD scares me, dude. I never had any bad encounters, but they always like really scared me,
Bro,
man.
that's there, bro. Like I felt more safe around gangsters than I did with NYPD. And it wasn't even like no shot to the NYPD, but bro, like
You know what?
it's
Dead
like
ass.
damn, like I don't know what these men might these cops might do, bro. Like, and that's so wild to think about. Like, yo,
Yeah, that's the thing, man. That's the thing. Yeah, like the cops in New York and the cops in North Jersey, yikes, no, stay away, man. They scared the hell out of me. All right, last thing I want to touch on, General Miley, he's a top dog. He's the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He was testifying in Congress and he was pushing back on saying that the military was woke. And he was just simply saying that he, as head of the military, wants the military academy or the military colleges to understand what white rage is and why thousands of Americans wanted to overthrow the government. Um, so shout out to him. Shout out to General Malley for pushing back on that. And that is all we have for the podcast today. Thank you, Carlye, for coming back to us. We really missed you.
Anytime.
Of course, of course, of course. All right, guys. So that's all we have for the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you like the podcast, please subscribe to us. You can find us anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Please let us know what you think. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on IG. That's all I got from you guys. And we're out.
Bye.